Welcome back, Matt from Jaggers Brewing Co. And I'm here with my buddy Tim from Hops and Wrenches and the St.
Otter Brewing.
And so if you watched the last video, we hinted at a few of the things that we did to the Rye Irish Stout, basically the second batch to this beer here. And what we did was I took some coffee beans for 2.5 gallons addition, and I'll put all the measurements for all the secondary additions plus the main recipe and put it in the description, along with a link to his channel for you to go subscribe if you haven't done that yet. And if you haven't, why haven't you?
Yeah, for real. I mean,
you've seen this guy plenty of times by now, for God's sakes.
I like to think I'm entertaining.
In his own mind.
Yes.
But the second beer that we did for the other 2.5 gallons was I took some Jameson Irish whiskey and soaked these wood chips in it. We toasted these wood chips, and the Jameson whiskey that we used was a special edition. It was aged in stout cask. So we kind of just went full circle with this part of the beer.
Favorite Jamesons.
Is it?
Yes.
I had never had it before. And that, I still owe you a sip of the whiskey that came out of this jar. And that'll be an interesting take on that. So maybe we'll have a reaction video for that. We'll see what happens. So today's experiment, we wanted to take the base beer, Rye Irish Stout 2023 edition, and we wanted to compare it to the coffee edition and the whiskey wood chipped soaked edition. So do you have a preference of which one you want to try first?
You know, I think we should do the coffee one first, because I have a feeling the whiskey one's going to have a bit more of a bite, and it might be a palate ender. So.
That could be possible. Only I actually know the answer to this one. Because I'm a terrible friend and took some taste test yesterday.
You're not a terrible friend, you're just assuring quality.
There you go.
So
quality
that what you
assurance.
serve to your guests is the utmost and best until they're like 3 in, and then you just bring out whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll just roll with that. Quality assurance.
Yes.
We do these stupid things so you don't have to.
Don't try this at home.
So here's the coffee edition. And we're gonna split a bottle here so that way we don't get too tanked.
Oh, already there is quite the difference on the head. That looks like a Guinness pour almost.
Yes, so the biggest difference is the base beer was kegged. And then everything else, all the other beers that came off of the main beer here, including, stay tuned for, the Party Guile experiment, were bottle conditioned. So as far as color difference, I'm not really seeing too much of anything.
I mean, there's a little bit darker on the coffee, but just barely.
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah.
I think it's too close to call personally. So some of the main notes that we got off of the original beer was mostly coffee and chocolate. Mm-hmm. And we said as it warmed up, it became a lot more expressive.
Yeah.
So you went first the last time. I'm gonna go first this time. So I'm gonna say on this coffee one that the coffee is just bam right there in your face. Like this is like, oh my god, this is coffee. Like it's not off-putting though. It's like you just brewed coffee, right?
Mm-hmm. It's like walking into a Starbucks and being like, oh, well, this is pleasant. But yeah, definitely that coffee is right there.
So I don't know, we just had some technical difficulties with the camera because this brew would not be complete without a technical difficulty.
I feel like it's cursed at this point.
Anyways, so
but what a tasty curse.
The coffee presence is definitely there. Smacks you in the face, but it's not off-putting. The mouthfeel, I don't think is terribly too different.
Yeah, there's a little bit of the acid on the mouthfeel from the coffee, but
it's definitely more acidic for sure. And of course, we're getting a lot more of the coffee notes with the coffee addition of it, right? So, do you have any other notes you'd like to add before we decide which one we would prefer between the two?
That dark chocolate and kind of fruit note is just, to me, it's just almost gone. Like on the palate, like the coffee just takes over.
So I messed up because I wanted to pull the coffee beans off of this beer about 3 to 4 days before I actually did it. I think that this beer will either mellow out with a little bit more time, is what I'm kind of hoping for, because it's just a little, it's got that astringent, like acid coffee taste, right?
It's still got a very fresh green taste to it. That
it's not terrible.
No, it's still very much drinkable.
As far as coffee stouts go, though, this is probably one of the most acidic ones I've ever had. Right? Again, not a bad beer, but out of the two, which between the base beer and the coffee beer, which one do you think you prefer?
You know, I'm a coffee fiend, but I'm actually kind of liking this one a bit more.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I can see this as, you know, like a little 10-ounce snifter. It's
one and done.
Yeah, just kind of a one and done, not necessarily something I can sit with all day. I could sit with this for quite a while.
So this is you're probably eating something very sweet, like maybe like a cheesecake.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, like just a nice dessert beer. Just something to balance out the sweetness of
I think that would probably be good. Maybe a brownie. So that leaves the whiskey chipped edition. Get a fresh glass here.
Well, I just got another addition in there.
It's just protein, dude.
Yeah, it's all good. Spit it out!
Oh. You might have got a little bit of the yeast cake, but...
Yeah, that's fine.
So, here's the whiskey chipped edition compared to the base beer. Again, I'm not seeing too much difference. I think that the whiskey one is darker, a little bit more noticeable than the base beer.
Yeah, this one definitely has more of a tint to it.
And then compared to the chocolate one, I mean the coffee one, I think it's still just a hair.
Pretty close to me, but
so. I think the aroma is very inviting.
There's a lot of that earthy scent in there. Huh. Like the gardening section at Home Depot.
It's
not the chemical section, but you know, the actual nice area.
I think it's very welcoming and inviting. Some vanillins. I think you can tell that there's a hint of alcohol there. That's more than just beer, right?
Yeah, you can tell there's something more in there. It's, you know, kind of just sneaking around in it.
I think we're still right there at the same mouthfeel. I think this tastes a little bit thinner than the base beer, in my opinion. Maybe some of that whiskey kind of thinned it out a little.
You know, because there were smoked wood chips, I was hoping for a bit of a smoke flavor. I'm not finding any.
So I tasted these beers when I bottled them, and the coffee beer tasted like coffee, just like fresh coffee, right? Like I didn't pick up any beer on that one. This one,
yeah,
tasted like bourbon, like drinking bourbon. I think you pick up a little bit on the oak character. Again, it's pulling more towards the earthy side.
Yeah, way towards the back end of it, you start picking that oakiness up a little bit.
There's a little bit of a sweetness there too, which I think is going to be contributed towards the oaky, like, vanillins, huh?
Yeah, it just kind of took all those stout and a little bit of the tannin flavors out of that Jameson, and just brought it right up front on the nose, and then in the actual body of it itself, it's there, but it's not as much as just the nose of it is, really. If that makes sense.
Out of our two experiment beers here, the coffee and the whiskey one, I think I kind of almost prefer the coffee one personally. I think it's a lot more expressive. I think we said, you know, like a dessert beer you're gonna drink with a pie or like a cheesecake or something like that. The whiskey one's not bad, but I think at this point in time it's probably my least favorite out of the three.
Yeah, I feel like this one could probably do with some aging.
Yeah, some aging might kind of tone down some of that oakiness to make it a little bit more approachable.
Yeah, like the more I get into it, I'm picking up more of the oakiness.
For sure.
But I don't know. This is one that I think it just kind of needs to sit in the corner and think about what it's done for a bit, and that might help it out a bit.
Yeah, I think both of these beers are just a tad too young. Like, give them another 2-3 months, probably mellow out a little bit. We can probably taste a little bit more of the base beer, and these things will fade into more of like backup components.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of hope the coffee doesn't fade too much, because I like what it's doing with the chocolate flavors and stuff from the base beer. But this one just, I don't know. It's good, but it almost seems kind of conflicting with itself.
So I just poured the base beer back into these two. Let's see what happens. Well, that woke the coffee way up.
So yeah, it might just be an aging thing.
It mellowed this one out, the whiskey one.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It toned down the taste of the coffee to make it a little bit more accessible, I feel like or approachable.
See, now I'm actually getting more of that whiskey flavor.
Yes.
By adding more of the beer back in.
Of the base beer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it cleaned up the oakiness.
Yeah, so I'm still sticking with it. It's probably just going to be more of an aging thing, just kind of let it mellow down a little bit more. And
I'm going to do this. Yeah. A little bit of the whiskey and the coffee.
Well, I'm going to do a little bit of coffee and the whiskey.
Copycat.
No, actually, I'm not going to do that. I'm liking this one now too much.
Dude. Yes.
I almost feel like I need another one.
The little bit of whiskey in the coffee one, oh my god. I wouldn't have thought that would have worked.
Yeah.
What did you do, coffee and the whiskey one?
Yep.
What are you picking up?
Straight up coffee on the front and whiskey on the rear.
That doesn't sound appealing to me. I like this whiskey and the coffee one. Well, which is, I mean, I guess kind of the same territory. I've got a little bit of the coffee, but it toned it down enough that I can pick up a little bit of the oak. I can pick up some of the base beer, the earthiness really starting to shine through. This is an imbalanced beer for sure, but I would drink the shit out of this one. So 2024's Rye Irish Stout might be just a combination of some craziness.
I wonder if we can go back in time.
He's trying to time travel. I might have had a little too much already.
I misplaced the keys to the DeLorean, so this is as best as we can do.
Hey, easy on that. We might get copyright striked, for God's sakes.
Did I say
just
silver car? Oh yeah. Yeah, that definitely helped.
So 2024, we're gonna think about what we did here, and then I think 2024 is the year of the Rye Irish Stout, for God's sakes.
It's gonna be the year of the something.
Well, if you stuck around this far, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Thank you for putting up with this tomfoolery and these silly shenanigans. We really appreciate it. This is Tim from Hops and Wrenches. Be sure to subscribe to his channel. Thank you guys again so much for hanging out with us. Cheers.
You just cut it right there. There's no way I'm going to actually be able to stunt off. It's a goth ladybug.
It's not like those other girls.
Yeah, it's not like those other.
All right.